Are you listening? Do you hear music? No. Oh, there it comes. I was like, uh-oh, my hearing is bad, Tom.
I was just anticipating that.
I'm so happy that reading is finished.
Well, hello, everybody. Sorry, we're already chatty.
Oh, did you hear? It's a good thing I didn't say the F word or anything.
Yeah, you could have said that. Well, Janice has been here for an hour, and the good news is her and Tom just wrapped up recording, doing the audible for your latest book.
Yes.
And so that's so exciting.
It is.
That's a feat.
I am so excited.
That is a feat.
Because what's really interesting about it, Tom is so nice. He's so kind and patient. Because there are times I'm like, okay, take 4. Okay, no. Take 5. Take 100. Because if you screw up, then you've got to go back and do it right. And then Tom has to spend time. He'll do it when I'm not here, and editing all of it and getting rid of all of that.
It's funny. There is actually one moment from the session last week where it took 7 takes for this one sentence, and I actually saved it because it would make for kind of a funny blooper reel.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, that is you should do
that's
that.
Really fun.
You can do that. I like that.
You should put it at the end as just like a funny at the end of the book. That'd be funny.
That would be funny.
I've never seen anody that.
Yeah, you do that, Tom, at the end of the book. Say, you think this is easy. I'm the one that recorded. Get a load of this.
So, Tom, what did you think of the book?
Well,
what'd you learn?
I'm not really looking for a husband per se, so it didn't speak to me in that regard. But I mean, of course, there's a lot of knowledgeable information in there, and I would recommend to any woman that I know that is having a hard time finding love that she should read this book.
Good. Thank
Absolutely.
you. So that's awfully nice. Thank you.
It's so nice.
You kind of have to say, because I still owe you some money.
That's amazing. Well, the thing is, I'm engaged, and I read it when I was engaged.
Yeah.
And I still, even though I'm in a relationship, I found the tips to just. I mean, I'm sure you still learn stuff about.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a bunch of things
being
about
married.
Sort of growing up and sort of being molded as a kid. I think there's a lot of stuff in there about that. And a lot of, I guess, maybe some of the problems that women may have finding a man or somebody that's worthy is because of how they were programmed as a kid.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's kind of, you have to unprogram yourself to not make the same bad decisions when it comes to men.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
So many pickers.
Yes.
So many people's pickers are off.
Yeah.
And it's totally rooted in our family of origin.
It
Mine
really
was
is.
off. Yours was off for a good while.
Oh, yeah.
Was yours ever off, Tom? I mean, you have an amazing wife, so you got your wheels on at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, I do believe I had a type for a certain part of my life, but then I figure after this one, I don't know if I told you guys this or not, but I had a Mrs. Robinson.
That is
Did
so
you just
salacious.
about spit your drink out right there?
I totally did. That is so salacious.
Okay, let's talk about that today.
And so
Let's go.
she was like she truly changed me in a major way for my own health, mental health.
For the better?
But also, for the better.
How much older was she?
I was just about to ask.
I think she's like...
Oh, he's trying to pretend like he doesn't remember.
No. She was 16 years older than me.
Damn.
Oh.
Janice says anything over 13 is a no. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I was 23 and she was 40.
Holy.
Oh, well, hello, Mrs. Robinson.
And she basically, after every girl I dated after her was quite a different ride than every girl before her. And
how many rides have you had?
And I don't mean that sexually. I just mean like I basically learned how to like be a grown up and treat women.
Wow.
I basically looked for a brain instead of a body.
Well, you know what is interesting about that? I'll bet that because she was older than, enough older than you, that you had to grow up a little bit emotionally with her, or she wouldn't have put up with it, you know?
100%.
And that was probably a really great learning
And
experience.
that relationship, it started with 18 months of platonic friendship where I didn't even think about us becoming an item. And then just this one night, it just like happened out of nowhere. She initiated it, and it blew my mind that she was even interested. And then we dated for like a little over a year.
Did anybody know?
We kept it pretty secret at the beginning.
Did you work with her?
No. Well, actually, yes, I did. I did work with her
All
the
these
very
things he's
first
not
time I met
remembering.
her. She brought her daughter into the studio, and that was like the beginning of our friendship. And then 18 months later, it became physical, and it was amazing. She's definitely the most in my top 3 most significant others I've ever had. But there really was like everything before her was for the wrong reasons. My picker was broken, if you will. And then everything after her, which were very few, was the right. Like I needed to have a brain, somebody that stimulated my brain. That was the primary reason that I wanted to go out with somebody. And that's how I found
Part of
Maureen.
growing up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Stimulating in a lot of ways. The brain.
Did almost spit out my drink.
men's
She
brain
still lives
brain
in
is.
Dallas, and she's still
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we still talk. We text all the time, and we talk on the phone about, I don't know, twice a year, and that phone call is usually like 4 or 5 hours. We got so much to catch up on.
And
But
Maureen,
yeah, she's
that doesn't
amazing.
bother Maureen?
And Maureen has met her and thinks she's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she's
I mean,
like
there was like
60
7
now?
or 8 years between the end of that and finding Maureen. So like this was long gone. Long in my rearview mirror.
So
By the time
is she
Maureen
like
came on the
almost
scene.
60 now?
Yes, she is 60.
She is 8 years older
yeah.
than me. Damn, you get it, Tom.
Well, I mean, I was 23. She was 40. So like,
Yeah.
I'm 47 now. I mean, when I was 40, when you're 40, you still have it. Hell, when you're 50,
Well,
you
hey,
still have
excuse me.
it. You two especially.
We have it.
Yes.
I have a
kidding me?
little of it.
You dated somebody younger. Well, Tom's younger.
Tom's younger, yeah.
But
Tom's
didn't you date somebody even
Tom's
younger
like
than him?
6 years younger than me.
All these
Or 7.
cradle robbers that
I
I'm
know.
working with.
I know. I didn't really realize it until. I mean, I didn't really notice that until he told me to ask him when his birthday was. No, I didn't. I dated a guy that was like 7 years older than me after my divorce.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
But yeah, I am 7 years older than Tom.
Y'all look exactly. No offense to Tom, but you guys.
He's a silver fox.
He is a silver fox. No doubt
He
about
is
that.
a handsome man.
Okay, well, we need to get rocking. We first need to thank our sponsor. We have a sponsor for this week and next.
Oh, nice.
My dear friends from California, Mill Valley, JR and Carrie Coulter, or I guess their last name is Riley now because I just officiated their wedding.
Oh, you did?
Oh, it's so fun. Anyway, they were here this week dropping off his son to SMU, and they stayed at my house, and they sent me like a big Venmo. I was like, what the heck is that about? And they're like, it's to say thanks for letting us stay at your house, use your car, and also for the remedy. So
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
nice.
That's great.
so
thank
we live
you.
another week.
We do.
Or two. So we make it super easy for you to contribute. So if you like what we're doing here and love listening to The Remedy, we always need sponsors. You can just Venmo at Tova Sido. We'll take good care of you. Okay, so today, Janice, you sent this article and thought it might be a great topic. I could not agree more. I'm fascinated about what we're going to talk about this week and next. The article is from Psychology Today, and its title is 20 Expert Tactics for Dealing with Difficult People.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
You know, it's interesting too because when I saw that, I've recently had a little incident with
With a person?
that's a little difficult for me to get along with. Or well,
And that's
but
that's like foreign for you.
Yeah,
I bet
I
there's
don't-
like one or two people on the planet that
They're
you
not
find
very- yeah.
to be a difficult.
Yeah.
thing.
And, but I do think that there can be like difficult clients
Yeah.
that you could have,
Yeah.
Tova or me, or just difficult people, strangers in the grocery store, or,
Somebody who's aggressively driving and cuts you off and
Yeah.
flips you off or whatever.
Yeah. So, so when I saw it, I thought, well, this could be kind of interesting. And then I looked through it and I thought, oh, yeah, this can really be helpful.
I agree.
I hope so.
Yeah, we've never
Because-
talked about anything like this before.
No, because I think that people, for the most part, especially, I do think that in the South, it's a little bit better. That people, they may be mad as heck about something, but they're more likely to just be passive aggressive instead of outright aggressive.
I agree with that.
But I do think that both of those things that it's difficult to deal with those. And what do we do with that? Do we talk about it? Do we bring it up to people? Or do we just pretend it doesn't happen? Or do we just etch a sketch those people from our life if we can? So I don't know. I thought it might be kind of fun.
I think it's a great topic because at some point, all of our listeners have probably had to deal. I mean, all of us at some point have to deal with a difficult person.
Yeah.
And like you said, it might not be a family member. It might be somebody you work with. I have worked with difficult people before.
Yes, I think in the work environment, for sure, because you don't want to just storm out,
Yeah.
if that you need the job or whatever.
You got to make it work.
Yeah, you do.
You're going to that office every day.
Yeah.
Or even people like I thought of precious Anna Prin. She just left for school a week ago. And the day she got to school, one of her high school best friend's dad died in a motorcycle accident. So she was back here this weekend for his
The
funeral
dad was on a motorcycle. Where was he?
on Harry Hines. And some car sideswiped him and tossed him into the median, and he flew off his bike and landed on another car across on the other side of
my gosh.
Harry Hines, and he died on impact. It was just beyond tragic. But I was taking her to the airport yesterday. She was heading back to go to school, and I said, and because she goes to Spelman, all girls school, I said, she loves her school. She has so many good friends. And I said, are there some difficult girls? And she goes, my God, Mom, I go to an all-girls school, of course. So even like college kids, dealing with a new roommate situation or people in your sorority or fraternity. I mean, you're going to encounter difficult people your whole life.
Yeah. I mean, I have a client who is in college, and she has had a hard time with a couple of girls that are at school where she is, and they're mean girls.
There's plenty of that out there.
I mean, there are mean girls out there.
There's mean guys.
They're mean guys too. Yeah.
Do you know what I heard that about a fraternity that they do to like their people that they rush? Rush season is happening right now.
Yeah.
So I've heard, talked with people, clients, friends whose kids are doing it. And one of the activities that a fraternity had the guys do is they had to get a bunch of girls from other sororities in the room, and they had to rate they put the girls on the stage, and they said, which one do you want to F? Which one do you want to murder? And which one do you want to marry? They put 3 girls on the stage, and the guys had to say, I want to F this one, I want to murder
Why did
this
the
one.
girls do it?
I don't know. And then they had to rank who is the prettiest and who's the ugliest.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, the fact that there are not more suicides
yeah.
with that BS, I'm like, I can't believe it. I mean, I heard that story from a client this morning.
That is
Horrible.
just ridiculous.
Yeah, horrible. So, anyway,
Okay.
I got on a tangent there. Sorry about that.
No,
Okay,
no.
20 expert tactics for dealing with difficult people. We're going to do 10 this week and then 10 next.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the first one. The first one, first tactic is to listen. This is interesting because that's the last thing I want to do with a difficult person.
Me too. Me too.
Is that why your head is shaking?
Yeah. I'm like, yes, listening is just to just breathe and listen when you're being confronted with somebody that is being unreasonable. And especially if you're out and it's somebody that you don't know. I think that if
you haven't taken the time to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I think, people who get that you just have to listen and to shut, because I can always think of something to say, but just to listen helps to calm them down typically, or at least get them to maybe stop what they're doing that is being so offensive to somebody. But
I think to your point, I think it's the only way to open the door to whether it's reconciliation or understanding or because usually when we're dealing with a difficult person, the only thing we're thinking about is what we want to say.
Yeah, and that's what this says. It says while you're listening, really focus on what the other person is saying, not what you want to say next.
That's crazy.
But really, because you can, and you think about it, raising children, especially like teenage kids, they can be difficult, and that's part of the process for them. And I think that as adults, a lot of times we probably don't take enough time just to really listen, and we get kind of aggressive ourselves.
For sure.
So I think listening is, not like a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking, God, I might be having some memory issues, as Tom was telling me something. He said, I told you that just the other day, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with my brain. And he said, no, I don't think you listen to me all the time.
Yeah, you've
I think I've said that before, and it's true. But I really have been working on that, is that if he's talking or if one of my children are talking, I don't have trouble listening to my clients, and maybe
probably why you have a hard time listening,
because you listen for so many hours and then you're kind of listened up. But I do think that it's really important when somebody is being difficult, and I think that what we would tend to do with parents, if a child is being aggressive, is we tend to be like, don't you talk to me like this.
Don't be disrespectful.
Don't be disrespectful, rather than listening to them.
It's one of the best things. I am working with this precious teenage girl. She's 16, 17, 18, maybe 18, 19 years old. Anyway, she said the best thing. She said she's having some problems with her parents. And she said, I just feel like all my parents do is manage me instead of try to get to know me.
Very interesting.
And I was like, that is a brilliant thing that you just said. And I said, shit, I wonder if I do that with my kids. Like, we're so busy managing our children, we forget.
And making sure that they're acting right and doing right and studying and all
say
that
please,
stuff.
say thank you, pick that up, make your bed. Did you brush your teeth? Like, did you register for classes? Did you? Da, 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 da. Instead of saying, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Really good advice.
And even things like, what do you think about it?
What do you think about that? Or how did that make you feel?
Yeah. Are you okay with that? So then you're just kind of entering their world instead of trying to make them fit into another world, either ours around the house or at school, or don't you dare talk back to those, if they come home from school and say, the teacher, I got a detention because the teacher was being so rude to me, rather than saying, well, you didn't.
What did you do?
What did you do? Rather than saying, really? Well, talk to me about that.
What happened?
Yeah, and then see, maybe there's another way for you to handle that sort of thing. So, I think listening is really important.
And really hard with difficult people.
It is. Yeah.
So, second one.
Yeah, stay calm. When a situation is emotionally charged, it's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment. Monitor your breathing. Try to take some slow, deep breaths.
I mean, that is something I know you and I say all the time to our clients, especially like if a couple's in,
For sure.
like, it can get there can be tension.
Yeah, because when you've got two people that are in a relationship and then they're married or committed or whatnot or whatever, and you love each other, but it can be really easy to get combative in that relationship.
For sure.
And I think that is a very important thing. Don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to breathe.
And if somebody is dealing with me in a really calm manner, that brings me down.
Yeah.
Like it just brings the situation down.
Because you look a little cray-cray.
Yeah.
If you're flailing all over and that other person is breathing and looking at
and
you.
staying calm.
Attorneys are good at this. I don't know if you've ever argued with an attorney, but they never get emotional.
No, they don't.
And that is one thing I'm jealous of about it. If there is one thing to be jealous of besides maybe their income, it would be the fact that they can just like argue so calmly and
I think it's
articulately.
what is maddening about them.
It is. It's very maddening. My sister's an attorney and she doesn't ever get irate. And she's like...
Very calculated.
She's got to be a dream to argue with in the household. Shout out to Uncle Will.
That's really
So what are you like? Are you calm, Tom?
Me? I start that way, and then I can be ramped up pretty quickly. But I do love to like have resolution. I'm not one of those people that just walks away before stuff gets worked out.
Yeah.
I will always make sure that everything gets worked out because just like a clean room, everything has to be wrapped up in an argument with me. Like we got to get to the bottom of it so we can move on.
That's amazing.
So maybe I might get emotional or heated or scream and cuss, but I definitely don't walk away mad. It's just always comes to an end. Like we resolve it.
I like that though. I like that resolving it is your goal.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for those of you who don't know Tom, he is a really tall man. Mm-hmm. And
you are.
You are. Yeah. And so, it could be easy to use your height and your deep voice and all of that as a way to put people in their place. So
it's true.
But I imagine that Maureen, she wouldn't allow it.
She's not afraid.
But she's not
afraid.
I'm sure nobody's afraid of you. Well, I'm not, maybe not anybody, but
I'm an angry teddy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great description. Yeah.
I can see
Except
that.
I've never seen you get angry.
Well, and it's only like, I guess I don't really get mad often, but when I do get mad, I definitely can fly off the handle. There's no question. I have a short fuse on certain situations, but I'm resilient. I mean, my parents have always told me that since I was a kid, that when it's over, it's over.
That's
fantastic.
Bounce back quickly.
Yeah, so you don't hold on to it and go over it about 1,000,000 times in your head.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a hard thing to do.
It is a hard thing to do. Because I can be like, I can have this conversation in between my ears.
Oh, I sure can, for sure. Okay, I really like this next one. Don't judge, which I also think can be really difficult with a difficult person.
Very.
It says, you don't know what the other person is going through. Chances are if a person is acting unreasonable, they are likely feeling some sort of vulnerability or fear. And I would take out are likely. I would say they are feeling some sort of vulnerability or fear or insecurity.
I think so too. Insecurity, big. Yeah.
There's a reason why difficult people are difficult people. And so if we could look at them with a little bit of compassion, which is really hard to do in the moment.
It is.
because their behavior is about them. It's not about us. Difficult people's behavior is all about them.
It is. It's a reflection on them.
But we take it so personal.
Oh my gosh,
God.
we do. We do. I've had an incident fairly recent about this, that, when a person was really being difficult with me to me, and I mean, I did a terrible job of
judging, breathing, staying calm.
No,
listening.
I stayed calm. I did listen, but I did judge. and I just ruminated over it.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's truly hard to believe. I think it's hard for both of us because we don't approach life, our attitude, the people how we interact with people. We don't approach life the way, you told me a little bit about it before we recorded. Uh-huh. You don't approach life that way.
No.
And so difficult people who approach life in a difficult way, it's kind of like when you talk to your dog and your dog swivels his head.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I want to do with a difficult person. Like, what? Like, I just kind of want to
exactly. Why would you act like that? Yeah.
So it's like really hard to understand.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
You want to tackle 4?
Yeah, sure. Reflect respect and dignity toward the other person. No matter how a person is treating you, showing contempt will not help productively resolve, will not help. I can't read. I've been reading for an hour.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No matter how a person is treating you, showing contempt will not help productively resolve
the situation. I've got it.
Take 4.
That's fantastic, Tom.
I'm going to just shut my mouth and breathe.
No matter how a person is treating you, showing contempt will not help productively resolve the situation.
Okay. That was really good.
Thanks.
There were just a lot of syllables.
Well, I didn't read my book for an hour in a microphone, so I'm sure you're feeling a little tongue-tied.
I am. I really am. But, I think that it is, I have learned that I can just keep my mouth shut. Mm-hmm. When somebody is really being difficult towards me, I've learned to be able to do that. I used to could not do it. I would chew you up and spit you out in a minute.
I was witness to that. You are right, because we had lunch one time with this lady, the 3 of us.
Oh, gosh.
And
I've never seen Janice more quiet in my life. So true.
And it kind of made me have to sort of speak up a little bit, but we talked about this. That's kind of how I deal with stuff like that. I sort of kill with kindness when that just takes over, because to me,
you are brilliant.
It's easier to do that than it is to be mean or confrontational. Yeah. Plus, our main courses weren't to the table yet, so we had to kill the time some way. So anyway, but that was such a crazy lunch that lady was just. Just to circle back to the first one, listening. That's one of those weird times when somebody is being so bad that listening is actually entertaining. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very true.
Or it's so there's no reasonability about it at all. And so you just kind of sit there dumbfounded.
And like the dog, like swirling your head.
We just kind of had to tee her up and then just sit back and be entertained by her insane answers to some of the questions that we were asking.
I still can't believe that. Chip.
Yeah, has money been canceled yet? Is cash over with yet?
She told us that by like the next month, cash was going to go away forever.
Across the world.
Yeah.
Especially.
Oh man, that was epic.
It was. I
The funniest part was that was like one of the first times the 3 of us ever got together. Like that was like your introduction to us, Tom, and it was.
I remember.
It was a very bizarre lunch. But it is interesting, to your point, Tom, how we deal with conflict, how the
Yeah.
three of us deal with conflict, it all kind of came out in that.
I sat there pretty much with my mouth shut
That
because
was your way
you were
of
mute.
giving her dignity. Because if you had opened your mouth, it probably would have been
Shut-
mean girl.
Yeah.
yeah.
You would have been like,
I would have been like, what? What's wrong with you?
yeah. What the hell are you talking about? And then you were like non-judgmental, amused, and very engaging, Tom. I found
Believe me, I was judging. I just was saving it until after we
were
were back over here
amazing.
recording. But that, yes, I was two-faced as hell. But that was how it had to be done, at least in that
no,
situation.
thank God you were there. I can't even imagine if it was just me and Janice.
That would have been crazy.
Good
Oh
Lord.
my gosh. I just, that was so strange.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell the dude that hooked us
No.
up with her?
No.
You never did?
No.
We never said a word.
You took the high road.
But I'm still fascinated as to why he ever thought that would be a good idea.
I don't know either.
But I do agree that giving, like, silence is a great way to give somebody who's kind of spinning out. Is it, to your point, Tom? I like the way you said that. Like, Janice's silence was a way to give that woman dignity, because there could have been a world where you could have ripped her up one side and down the
Yeah,
other,
for sure.
and you just allowed her to walk away with
Yeah.
her dignity, and that is the better answer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too. And I think that, like, when you're dealing with somebody like that, I just I couldn't even think of anything to say. but when it's somebody that you're in a relationship with, or if it's with your children or something like that, then I think we want to try not to spew, because we fuel it. We actually, because then you get in a back and forth rather than thinking, oh my gosh, and
the escalation of that is just the most unproductive thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're ever going to change their mind, and they're not ever going to change your mind. And so it's just not a productive response.
It's true. And I think that one of the things that I think is important when it comes to parenting is that we want to be respectful to our children. And I think we want to, when they're being so unreasonable about something, I think it's always a really pretty good idea to say, okay, so tell me what you want or need in relationship to this. Like if they want you say, you need to come home at 9:00 and they're defiant and they don't come home until midnight or something like that, rather than, and chew them up and spit them out and all that, being able to say, okay, so what made you think that was going to be okay? And why did you not pick up the phone and call me and us have a discussion, so that you try to get them to, if we can learn to teach teenagers to understand what's going on with them. How could you have done that differently? Maybe. I understand that it was not okay for you to tell your teacher that they were stupid or whatever. But what could you have done differently? Well, the teacher was giving me flack, and say, okay, well, what could you do differently? And try to help them problem solve without dancing with those defiant people, because people who are really pretty defiant, they'll dance with you.
They sure will.
So, yeah.
And that's just not a fun or productive place to
No. If there's a winner, there's a loser.
be. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if there's
And
a
if
loser,
there's
then
you
the
both lose.
relationship loses. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think this is a good one. I think this is a hard one. Number 5, look for the hidden need. What is this person really trying to gain? What is this person trying to avoid?
I think they're trying to avoid sadness and fear. And I think they're trying to gain empowerment over that emotion, rather than be able to feel the feelings and allow yourself to have it. They will mask those feelings with aggressive behavior or passive aggressive behavior or some of that stuff.
Yeah. I see that in some people for sure.
Yeah.
Number 6, look for others around you who might be able to help. If you're at work and there's an irate customer, quickly scan to see if a colleague is close by.
That's really smart. Especially if you are on the street or if you're, yeah.
I think look for, having somebody around you, having somebody else around you really does help. I think that, like if you think about it, if there's a situation that's escalating, usually if there's another party involved, it really brings it down. If it's just two people and you're just going after it, but there's a third party who can kind of just, hey, I think that's super helpful.
I think so too. I really do. Yeah.
Number 7, also hard.
Oh, yeah.
You want to read it?
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Yeah. Don't demand compliance. For example, telling someone who's upset to be quiet and calm down will just make him or her irate. Instead, ask the person what they are upset about and allow them to vent. Yeah.
I think if somebody tells me to calm down, that might be one of the most irritating. Nothing makes me want to calm down less than somebody telling me to calm down.
If
It's
they
so
say,
rude.
So talk to me. What's going on?
Yeah.
Let them be expressive, even if they're kind of furious. You're not going to, you're not going to.
Being angry is a part of life.
It is very much a part of life. And a lot of time what's under anger is fear.
Oh.
Because I think that it is.
Most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. If somebody's being rude to you and you get really angry and get in their face and then you're going back and forth, it's just not going to get you anywhere. So if you can realize, you know what, this person is really making me so angry, and then you just breathe again or walk away or make sure somebody's there around you too.
Call a timeout.
And
just say, hey, this is not productive right now. And so why don't we just take a break, 20 minutes, and let's come back and chat when we can both calm down a little bit.
I think this is especially hard for parenting and
I
parents.
do too.
I don't like it when Maureen tells Betty, orders her to apologize, because I would never order somebody to apologize. I want that apology to come from the heart, or it doesn't mean anything. Do you agree with me on that?
I do.
I want Betty to go to her
to come from
after
an
the fact
place.
and say, I'm sorry, after things have blown over, instead of making her apologize right there. It makes, whenever I hear that happening, I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, because it's just a sentence. I'm sorry. 2 words.
Yes.
I have told my kids, I totally agree with you, Tom. I have told my kids at some point, you need, I don't know how I say it, but I say at some point, you're going to need to reconcile this and apologize when you're ready. But I think forcing an apology, to your point, is just a really inauthentic.
I do too. Especially
I don't want my children to say, I'm sorry, just because I told them you better say sorry to me.
There's no sorry to it.
No.
Yeah.
Another thing that comes to mind is whenever I hear the words, take that back. Take that back.
That's interesting. Why does that fire you up?
Because sometimes the response to that is, you needed to hear that.
I actually don't want to take it back.
Just let the part that offended you, that'll wear off in about 10 seconds. So let's just wait and then talk about why I just said that.
I don't think I ever asked my children to take it back.
I don't think I've ever asked anybody to take that back.
I don't think I have either.
Have you ever said anything that you wish you could take back?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot. I would hate to. We just won't go in there.
I'm not going to ask for details, but I'm just wondering if that's part of your history.
I used to be fierier or more fiery than I am now. I don't really have confrontations now.
Did you used to retaliate?
Yeah.
It's just so hard for you. You paint this picture of who you could be years ago, and it seems so foreign to me. I can't even see you like that.
You know, I have an older sister that's 3 years older than I, and we used to really get into it. And I mean, it would my mother would cry, my dad would be yelling at us, and you know, I was fiery. I can still be that way, but I think I would be that way if somebody were hurting, you know, somebody that I really cared about.
Sure.
You know, but I mean, like Tom and I don't fight. We disagree, but we don't fight. And that's nice because Kurt and I used to fight more. But and that wasn't his fault. I mean, I think I was pretty. I mean, I could stir.
You both played it.
Yeah, I could stir it up for sure. I'm not proud of that, but
well, I think I agree with you. It's awful to say things that you don't mean or you wish you regret, but I think it's kind of silly to say take that back. You can't.
No,
you can't.
That is a form of demanding compliance that I don't appreciate.
No, that's like, and it's like saying, it's kind of like saying I'm sorry. But really, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Take that back. Well,
we can't.
We can't.
It's already been done. That's why I'm so confused.
I can't imagine if one of my kids, when they were a teenager or something, said, "You're a bitch," and I'd say, "Take that back."
No, you can't.
Say,
yeah, you just can't. 8, I found to be interesting. Saying I understand usually makes things worse. Instead, you could say, tell me more so I can understand better.
I like that.
I do too.
I really do like that.
Because I do say I understand. But I think this sentence is better. Tell me more so I can understand better.
Yeah.
That's a great response.
I really do. I agree. I think that it's really, especially if you're dealing with teenagers, you know, if we give them opportunity to really talk about it, it will help them so much. Because so much of aggressiveness with teenagers is stuffing because they don't want to be vulnerable. They're not going to go in the football huddle and talk about being scared or to their friends or any of that. But yet, if you have a one-on-one with your adolescent and you really say, I want you. If you're willing to talk to me about it, I really would like for you to tell me more about it. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. What are you mad about? So that I can understand it, and then we'll fix it. We'll come up with a solution. You know, so I think that's a really great thing.
If my mom ever talked to me like that, I would have like.
It is a very clinical way to say.
It is
that to convey that message. Because I think it's the way that you say it. When you say "I understand," it's almost like a doctor is talking to a crazy person. It makes you feel that way, like you're the crazy person, and it's come to the guy going, "I understand," instead of just a more natural way. Especially the way I say it is, "I hear you" or "I feel you." I say that all the time to people.
No, I like that.
And it's my way of saying that I'm listening and I understand what you're saying, but it's not as clinical as "I understand you."
Like the therapist sitting there saying,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
You know, when really we don't even know.
No.
We don't know until they tell us. But if they'll give us more information, then you really can say,
have a better
that
understanding.
makes sense now to me.
I mean, not many people hear the words "tell me more" and get mad about that. Like usually people are like, "Okay, here it comes."
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. I think that's what everybody wants.
I think
is
so
to
too.
Tell more.
Yeah.
To be understood more.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why they pay to go talk to a therapist.
Well, and I think that too, when you're talking about parenting, we really don't understand, you know, but if they'll give you information, then you can help them problem solve. Like, okay, now I get it. So let's talk about how do you want to do that differently, or what do you want to do to feel better about that, or can I help you in any way to where you're just entering their world instead of being on the outside, being grandiose, all knowing, oh, I understand, when really, no.
I think you're exactly right. That the approach, the tone, how you say it.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you, Tom. I love when you said anytime you ask somebody to tell me more about that, it's not like they're going to be like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually done talking.
No, that's so great. That is
really
so
good.
great. I know somebody that I'm going to tell them to when I get home. It's not Tom. It's a client that she was talking about
Buddy.
something. It's Buddy. Buddy doesn't understand. Buddy just likes food.
Oh, cute buddy. Okay, you want to tackle 9?
Yeah. Avoid smiling, as this may look like you're mocking the person. Similarly, humor can sometimes lighten the mood, but more often than not, it's risky and it might backfire. If somebody smiled at me, if I were really upset, or I think that's a passive
Or like
aggressive,
being very vulnerable and somebody laughed or smiled, scoffed in any way,
Yeah.
I would stop talking.
yeah, that mocking. Oh, no. Oh, so you think you're so smart, do you? And I think that's just going to fuel anybody that's having a real emotional response to something, and you're looking at that difficulty, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, to make fun because it's a put down.
It's
It's terrible.
It's a form of sarcasm, I think.
Yeah,
which is tearing the flesh.
Yeah, and it's emotional abuse.
Yeah, it really is.
I think there's a major distinction. I think with somebody you don't know, like a stranger, yes, smiling would be something that could get your ass whooped if you're not careful. You know, like if you see somebody on an airplane or being like belligerent or difficult and you smile because it's amusing you, but you don't really realize like that dude will come over and stomp you if he thinks you're making fun of him. Then again, if it's somebody you know, like a friend, sometimes smiling can like kind of lighten the mood, but kind of let them know that they're being ridiculous and that maybe it helps them check themselves.
You know, I had an Uncle Boo.
We use humor all the time. Or I do.
Who's we?
Me and Maureen.
Okay.
Like humor is a major part of diffusing ourselves. Like truly.
But if that works for you, but like when people are mocking, like I had an Uncle Boo that was just always kind of mean and teasing. He would just tease me and tease me and tease me. And I always cried. And they were like, oh, and he would mock me and say, oh, look at Janice crying because I told her blah, blah, blah. It was terrible.
Yeah, that is abuse.
Yeah, he's definitely making fun of you for sure.
Yeah.
But he... and that's not really a good example of what I'm talking about, I guess. I guess what I mean is a lot of times when Maureen and I have been screaming at each other, sometimes the perfect little quip that she could not do anything but laugh at. Like if she doesn't laugh at that, it would be impossible for her not to laugh.
Well, and that makes sense. That's different, and it works for you.
But you've also seen people at like restaurants being really mean or irate to a waitress or something, and you look at your friend and you just kind of are like, oh my God, and you sort of chuckle or laugh. I mean, if that person looks over and catches you smiling at them, that could really backfire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Pull out a gun.
Yeah, or let's say I sit down and tell Craig something that's meaningful to me or hard for me, and he makes light of it or laughs. Well, like it's like, why are we making this a big deal? Or, does one of those things.
Yeah.
If he ever did that, he doesn't do that. But if he did that, that would be very hurtful to me.
I would be furious about it because it's mock. I mean, it's rude.
Yeah, it is. It's minimizing,
demeaning,
and demeaning. Yeah.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
I think 10, I mean, it says don't act defensively, and then it says this is tough. And I was just about to say, I think 10 is really tough.
Uh-huh.
Don't act defensively. You're naturally not enjoying the other person saying nasty things or things that you know aren't true. You're going to want to defend yourself, but the other person is so emotionally revved up, it's not going to help. Remember, this is not about you. Don't take it personally. I know it's easier said than done.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this says it perfectly, but I also agree. It's reminding yourself in the heat of the moment that another person's behavior is really not about you.
Uh-huh. And you know, I think I can remember when my children were like 14 or 13 or something, and they would, you know, talk back to me or something like that. I mean, I would take that so personally and be defensive and be like, don't you talk to me like that, rather than it didn't, and that didn't do any good.
Oh, God.
You know?
No.
So I really think defensiveness is, we don't have to defend ourselves to everybody that maybe has a qualm with us.
Not at all.
No.
I think acting defensively is one of the main traits of a difficult person.
Uh-huh.
I could not agree more.
I mean, anything is like an attack.
I can't be friends with people like that.
I can't either.
Because I can't talk to people like that. And if I bring up something and the other person on the other side of me is going to defend or deny, like my behavior or my thoughts or my feelings, or their behavior, their thoughts, their feelings, and not try to understand me, that's like trying to walk through a door.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible.
It is.
And nothing productive is going to happen if you meet anybody with defensiveness.
No, I agree.
There's not going to be a productive outcome. It only layers the recovery and the fight and the hurt and the anger.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that's our 10. We're going to wrap up this episode and hope you'll join us next week for the bottom 10. We'll give you a little bit of preview. Don't return anger with anger. Set limits and boundaries. Trust your instincts. You're going to love it. Thanks for listening and have an amazing week. Thank you. Tom. You're hilarious.